Well, we slept pretty soundly, but 5:15 a.m. came around early. So I got up, made sure that all of our electronics were charged and ready. Ray added another 5 gallons of diesel, and we started to take a look around and try to figure out a little bit of the water issue. We're still having water show up in the engine compartment, even after the fix back at Aqua Yacht. So I am still thinking that it's coming from back under the cockpit somewhere. Ray doesn't seem to think it's that. He thinks it's something else. So for this morning anyway, he just mopped up the water, and we decided to start the engine and get the day going. We're also still having a little trouble with getting the engine started, like maybe it's losing compression, and we definitely have a little bit of sooting up that's happening in the engine compartment, so all things that we need to keep monitoring and checking. But we went ahead, we held Glover Wilkins lock, and they told us to come on in. They'd have the gate open at 6:30 for us.
Here we are in Glover Wilkins lock, our first lock of the day. Gates are closed and we are we've started our descent. Started out about 44.5 feet. And I think we got 4 locks again today. And we'll be, if we don't have any problems, we should be in Columbus, Mississippi tonight. Never ceases to amaze me how much water squirts in around the doors of the lock. And generally, there's a heron or two around because the fish get hung in the lock, and then he's got an easy meal. He's already had a couple of fish up there, but again, the water comes in around the doors. I mean, I know it's secure because the lock's still in operation, but still a little wild, a little freaky. Holding back that whole lake.
Thad Cochran lock would be our next lock, and it was just a short 5-mile run down from Glover Wilkins lock. So they were kind enough to radio ahead for us and let Thad Cochran lock know that we were on our way. As we were headed southbound, there was some kind of big boat coming northbound toward us. It turned out to be a really large power cat. So once they made it by us, Ray actually jumped into the back, into the dinghy to pull the motor back up. We had it down from all our running around the night before while we were at Smithville Marina. So he hopped back there and just kind of raised it a little bit so we wouldn't have quite so much drag as we went to the next lock.
Are we having fun yet?
So much fun. Are you having fun?
I'm not really having a lot of fun today. We are in Thad Cochran lock, our second lock of the day. Gates are closed behind us and secure in the lock. Ready to begin our descent. There's 49.5 feet of water under us. So we probably got about 30 foot or 30 or more than 30 feet drop. So, all right, here we go. Lock number 2.
Our lock through at Thad Cochran was just as smooth, and exiting there was immediately a bridge and then some power lines and another bridge. And it was kind of interesting for me to realize that I almost don't even pay attention to these things anymore. Where I used to watch us go under every bridge or used to get a little bit nerved up about every power line, I've realized now that when the things you worry about actually happen, like running aground or something, you finally realize they're not these earth-shattering issues that you once expected. You just kind of learn to settle in and roll with the punches a bit more. Like our friend Paul Smith said, if the problem doesn't result in a huge insurance claim, then it really wasn't much of a problem at all.
All right, smile for the camera. Where we at? What we doing?
We're at Aberdeen Lock and I'm sweating.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
It's because it's hotter than the devil's armpit. It's 90 and feels like 105, according to the weather app.
Right?
Um,
It's not even 11 o'clock yet.
It's not even 11 o'clock. It's 1 minute until 11. There's the Aberdeen Lockmaster's building. Gates are closed. Water is dropping. Started at 43 feet. So we've only got a pretty short lock, maybe 20 some odd feet in this lock. Really filthy. Lots of debris in the water here as we came through, but not grass. So, all right, on our way down.
Just on a quick side note, here you can kind of see some of the water that's puddling up in the engine compartment. And yes, dark as it is, that is water. It's just collecting all of the soot along the way. So we continued on, and now with just 20 miles between us and our last lock of the day, I decided to go downstairs and I made tuna sandwiches for lunch. We were trying to finish up the bread and go through all the perishables, and to Ethan's great delight, this was the last of our bread, so there would be taquitos on the menu for lunch tomorrow. 12:15 had us on a pretty long stretch of river that was just hot and swampy with little to no cell signal, so there was no ability to edit or work on videos. There wasn't ability to do much of anything. And it was another day where the devices were so hot that we had to keep them in the cooler to charge. So we mostly just sat up in the cockpit. The boys each took turns doing a little bit of driving. Ethan and I played a couple of games of Uno and a couple of games of Guess Who, and we just tried to enjoy the ride. About an hour outside of Stennis Lock, which would be our last lock for the day, we heard rumbles of thunder, and then came the rain, and what a blessing. Instantly, the temperature dropped about 15 degrees, but of course the wind also picked up to 12 knots with gusts up to 18 knots. Instead of slowing down like some people might, or looking at the radar and checking options for a marina, or even hailing the lock, we just went ahead and stayed full throttle. Jared and I went downstairs and donned our foulies, and we ended up coming to the lock just as another boat was coming out. They hailed us to let us know about passing on the one, and we were able to get in touch with the lock who was holding the gates open for us. The good news was that by the time we got to the lock, the rain had stopped, so we could see and maneuver a little more easily. But the bad news was there was a ton of debris over on the port side, so we had to switch to the starboard side with our locking gear kind of at the last minute.
We are in Stennis Lock, our fourth and final lock of the day. That's 4 locks today, 4 locks yesterday. Everybody's wearing rain gear because we got a really good shower. Nobody is complaining about it because it cooled it off about 20 degrees. Or it feels like it cooled it off 20 degrees. Started off about 46 feet. We're down about 42 and a half now. So away we go. We put our fenders and everything, moved everything last minute to the other side because there was a bunch of debris. There's a big old log there. There's all kinds of debris you can see in the lock. But on our way down.
So getting through Stennis Lock felt a little bit rushed. Everything turned off to be fine. And the ride to the cutoff leading to Columbus wasn't far, but it looked very different than what I was expecting in my head. I kind of thought we were headed to a Riverwalk city situation, but instead, as we went to pull in, we saw a really large tug ahead and actually had to stop and wait for the tugs to kind of rearrange because of the multiple barges that were in the canal. We were able to communicate with the tugs and navigate around them getting out and able to head farther back into the channel. And the map and some friends had mentioned to us that there was a dinghy dock under a railroad bridge that was back there. It was just far different than what I had envisioned. But at any rate, we were able to get tucked in beyond any of the barges that might come through. I don't think they even could have fit back by where we were. And we were pretty sheltered there from any major weather. The current headed back out to the main channel, so we did end up putting a bow and stern anchor out to hold the boat parallel with the shore. And that really wouldn't even have been necessary had we anchored with our bow into the current and kind of stayed on the side of the channel that we had originally opted for and the part that was marked on the map. But Ray had it in his mind to do it a little bit differently, which turned out to be okay, but was really just a lot more work than what was necessary. This was another great example of maybe coming in hot, doing something without really slowing down to think about how, the implications for how it might work in practicality. But I think at this point of the trip, we were really starting to feel a little bit of the crunch, a little bit of the time rush. We knew we had only about a 5-day weather window to get down the Tombigbee to Mobile Bay, and here we were on day 3. So we were just trying to make the most of our time and maybe getting in a hurry in areas where we didn't need to rush quite so much. At any rate, here we are at the cutoff for Columbus, Mississippi, and it was really a pretty cool little anchorage. Like I said, definitely a little different than what I had imagined. And anchoring here was rushed and didn't go super well. That can maybe be a story for another time. But once we got settled in, it was actually pretty cool. I had to go forward and sit on the bow for a little bit and do a phone call. So the guys went ahead and cooked brats on the grill. And then I came back after my call. We all ate and enjoyed ourselves. We could hear owls in the distance. We could hear the train coming in the distance and actually got to watch it passing over the bridge very near to us. So that was pretty cool. And I'd hoped that we would have some time to address our light issue. Our lights were still not working on the mast. They'd blown out again, but we had a lot of mud that we ended up having to clean off of the boat and off of the dinghy because of the difficult anchoring situation. So we ended up just cleaning off the boat, eating our food, and trying to do a little bit of rerouting to squeeze some more time into the coming day, because we only have one lock that we're going to be going through the next day, and we're trying to make the most of those days before Demopolis. So we did that and headed to bed by 9:30. While we only have one lock for tomorrow, we do have about 45 miles of travel to do. So I guess we'll see how the day goes. But for now, at least we had a good day, a safe day. Everybody lived, nobody's bleeding, so success. Thanks for watching.